This first wreath was made by Mrs. H. Grafton in Fairbury, Illinois in 1889. What makes it important to us is that her husband, H. Grafton, was one of the founders of the State Teachers College here in Colorado, and he was the postmaster at Manitou for 25 years. This is a very elaborate hair wreath. If you'll notice, there's actually a bird in the center of the wreath, and he's holding another piece of hair construction in his beak. We suspect that the beak is actually an actual bird's beak that's been incorporated into this design. This particular hair wreath was made by Flora J. Hamilton about 1895. She was a pioneer in the North Dakota Territory and lived to be 97. She was the grandmother of the donor. This particular hair wreath came in 1976, donated by Mrs. Gordon Haight. Some of the embellishments that you see in this wreath could very well be pearls. You see all kinds of colors of hair in these hair wreaths, but occasionally you'll see some white hair. This was highly unusual as far as human hair goes, and occasionally they would use horsehair to produce the white embellishments. There's a story that comes along with this wreath. It was donated by a Mr. E.B. Simmons, and Mr. Simmons' family lived on a farm. He told us that when the old gray mare died, she was mourned as one of the family. Therefore, a part of her tail is included in the wreath. It's easy to distinguish the stiff horsehair from the human hair in this wreath. This particular wreath has the look, to me, of a typical coffin. You have kind of that satin background with some trim that just very much reminds me of an open coffin lid. This particular wreath is a little unusual. Usually these wreaths are in a shadow box and mounted on some kind of silk satin fabric. This particular one looks like it's mounted on some kind of brown craft paper. We really don't understand the significance of that. The particular catalog record on this wreath says that it was about 100 years old in 1961. So this particular wreath was probably made around the time of the Civil War, about 1860. Another unusual feature of this wreath is that in addition to the horseshoe shape inside, it has some other hair ornaments decorating this particular composition at each corner. This particular wreath is probably one of the most colorful we have. You can see that it has black hair, gray hair, even some red hair. It also incorporates various colors of beads. You can see some turquoise colored beads, some red, some white, and a few silver beads, and some green. This particular wreath is a little unusual in the fact that it has names pasted on the backing behind the various groupings of hair. Some of the names are Lizzie, Adam, Laura, Mother, Ada, Kate, Father, Clara, and Henrietta. This wreath was donated by Mrs. Harry Knight in the 1930s. We believe that this wreath was not a memorial wreath, that it was made while the family members were alive. These wreaths were made both as memorials to deceased as well as just keepsakes and mementos of living people. This particular wreath may have been in a shadow box originally, and at some point in its life was removed and put in a box and not well cared for. Possibly, if we tried to straighten it out, it would actually look more like a wreath rather than just a tangled mat. It came in 1963 from a Mrs. Hagedorn, but that's all we know about it.